Hello, everyone. A very good evening. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar and my Avatar to the Diversity Mahotsav 2024. It is day 12 of this annual event. I'm Raghavendran Srinivasan and I will be your host for today's event. As we start, here are a few hygiene checks for a seamless virtual experience. Please close all other applications of your computer and log out from your organization's VPN to conserve internet bandwidth. We would like to thank our partners, Innovation Catalyst, EPAM Systems, supporting partners, Whistle, Genesis, Via Plus by Vinci Highways, and Junchi Systems. Our social media hashtags are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav, hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your social media handles with the hashtags. I would like to inform you that all the Diversity Mahotsav episodes are being live streamed on our YouTube channel. You can watch the Diversity Mahotsav live on YouTube. Click on the link that is pasted on the chat. Please visit www.myavatar.com to explore various opportunities and activities that celebrate diversity. If you have not registered at myavatar.com yet, do log on to myavatar.com and register. Browse through to find the jobs that might suit your skill sets, read articles of interest, upskill yourself through various webinars conducted exclusively for you. My dear guest, welcome to the Diversity Mahotsav, where the spotlight shines not only on diversity, equity, and inclusion, but on the very essence of what it means to celebrate our human kaleidoscope. At Diversity Mahotsav, conversations will spot change and opportunities will redefine destinies. We at Avatar Group are turning the voltage on diversity. Avatar is hosting its fourth edition of Diversity Mahotsav, a 15-day festival of sharing, learning, celebrating the uniqueness of every individual, and carrying with us the promise of inclusion into the new year. Hosted by myavatar.com, Avatar's #1 diversity hiring portal is one of a kind initiative. It aims to look for multi-pronged strategies to explore the world of opportunities out there for diverse groups. Diverse in its approach with experimental sessions, success stories, and skill building workshops. It recognizes that one size doesn't fit all and that there is a need for different levels of intervention. I once again welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar, India's premier diversity, equity, and inclusion solution firm, and myavatar.com, India's only diversity hiring portal to the Diversity Mahotsav. Let's celebrate ourselves. In today's world, Gen Z plays a crucial role in driving diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI efforts in workplaces and society. Known for their progressive values, they prioritize social justice and inclusivity, advocating for diverse representation and equal opportunities for all. As digital natives, they use social media platforms to amplify voices, raise awareness on systematic issues, and hold organizations accountable. Gen Z's strong commitment to DEI is reshaping corporate culture, pushing for transparency, inclusive policies, and diverse leadership. Their activism fosters environment where diverse perspectives are valued, creating more equitable and inclusive spaces for future generations. That is what you will see today in our session called DA for All, the role of Gen Zs in leveraging diversity, equity, and inclusion. Without further delay, let's meet our guest for today. Firstly, I would like to welcome Jaya Babu, Director, EQ and Posh Trader, founder and CEO, Pedal EQ. With her 24 years of IT experience, she realized that there is a great human potential in everyone that we can unearth only by increasing their emotional intelligence, which is EQ. People's excellence has been her passion for all these years. What she was doing for the past 24 years, besides her own IT leadership roles, during her free hours weekends, Jaya wanted to fulfill in order to create more impact, hence Pedal EQ, which is her startup company to achieve her dream for the world. She quotes, "Can do attitude, courage, common sense can define me. I have constant thirst for creating impact in anything I do, be it people or products or services." Welcome, Jaya Babu. Next, I would like to welcome Dr. Sundari R., Senior Assistant Professor, Xavier Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship, Chennai. Dr. R. Sundari is a seasoned and passionate professor with a robust record of accomplishment of over 2 decades in teaching and research. She specialized in marketing and human resources. She received her PhD from Mother Teresa Women University, Kodaikanal in 2013. Her areas of expertise include branding, service marketing, strategic management, and event management. She has published and presented papers in national and international conferences and seminars. She has also received a grant from Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development towards organizing training program for youth titled Financial Prudence for Youth Empowerment. She has coordinated and led numerous workshop and faculty development programs. Additionally, she serves as a facilitator for training sessions focused on soft skills and life oriented skills at various colleges. She motivates and inspires students through dynamic talks on self improvement, overcoming challenges, goal setting, and the importance of resilience. Welcome, Dr. R. Sundari. Next on stage is Dr. Vidya Thakur, Admission Chair and Assistant Professor at KJSIM, Mumbai. Professor Vidya is a passionate teacher and learner for past 22 years. She is having rich experience in interacting with students and adults between the age group of 16 to 35, mostly as a teacher, often as a counselor, and sometimes as a trainer. Career organization behavior, India's ethos and management, diversity, equity, and inclusion are some of the areas she joins gathering knowledge about. She quotes student development by encouraging sensitivity and observation skills in all spheres of life is one of my teaching methods. She also attempts to replace fear with confidence and positive emotional connections where students learn lifelong with wonder, delight, enthusiasm, and curiosity. Everyday prayer is to do good as many individuals are possible. Welcome, Vidya Thakkar. Finally, it's time to welcome our moderator for today, Mr. S. Banu Kumar, Head Information Technology. A technologist with close to 3 decades of hands-on experience in technology relating to cloud infrastructure, automatic identification and data capture, analytics, DevOps, and again, an industry veteran currently focusing on giving back to society. He has robust experience in identifying and implementing the right technical solution for any requirement with appropriate due diligence, risk assessment, solution design, and implementation. Bhanukumar has built multiple technological centers of excellence, facilitating career progression for individuals and effective solutions for the organization. A passionate trainer, mentor, and coach with more than 5,000 hours of training and skill taking. Banu handles anything and everything around technology and development. Without further ado, I would like to give the stage to Banu Kumar for a wonderful session today. Over to you, Banu.
Thank you, Raghav. Thank you for those nice words on the introduction. Good evening, everyone. Joining us in this panel discussion on the topic DI for All, the role of Gen Z in leveraging diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's probably take a moment to examine the scenario today. India is one of the most diverse nations in the world, 22 official languages, more than 2,000 ethnic groups, roughly 27% of the population being Gen Z. That's a significant proportion shaping the culture and the social fabric for the country. Interestingly, this generation is not only diverse, but to me, it is also economically influential. They seem to drive the household consumption thanks to a lot of these apps, and we all know the digital fluency of the Gen Zs. This enables them to do whatever anyone needs from wherever they are. This obviously is one of the reasons for the focus of Gen Z today, but that's not all. Gen Z demands spaces where diverse identities are not only represented but celebrated. With access to a diverse global perspectives, they definitely bring a unique understanding of the intersectionality and they actively question biases, barriers, and the likes. So, this automatically leads us to the point when Gen Z is driving the change. How can educational institutions and society at large empower them to leverage their potential to foster DI effectively? And who else but this kind of a panel is where you have people who are interacting with the Gen Z day in and day out, being there can give more details into it. Before we go to them, according to a monster poll, 83% of the Gen Z respondents consider an employer commitment to DEI when deciding where to work. And interestingly, a Manpower Group report says 56% of the Gen Z individuals would not accept a job without diverse leadership. So let's explore today this dynamic relationship between the Gen Z and DEI, the policies, the pedagogy, the challenges, the innovative solutions. Let's uncover what is working and what needs a rethink. Yes, what needs a rethink? I wouldn't say it doesn't work. I would encourage each of you in the audience to reflect on the fact that DEA is just not a checkbox, but a cultural transformation that is sustainable, impactful across generations. With a wealth of experience from the panelists in their respective spaces, I would request each of the panelists to speak a few minutes about their perspective on this topic before we get to them on the questions. And reflecting on these discussions, I would urge each of you participants to think through and ask your questions by typing it out in the chat box or in the Q&A, and we'll take it up as appropriate. We'll probably start with Dr. Sundari. Maybe if you can share your perspectives on the topic before, yeah.
Good evening, all. Thanks for the opportunity to Mahotsav for addressing such a nice gathering and wishes for your celebration too. I am actually interacting with Gen Z every day, as Banu was quoting in her talk. I'm, feeling energized with that group. The reason why I say energized is these crowd are really the one who connects with all the, demographic group, and they are known for their digital immersion. Okay, they are very conscious on social platform, and they have a lot of practical outlook, and having these wide characteristics, they could actually resonate well with the expectations of DEI, and they look out for opportunities or career prospects for the company which is having this DEI aspect. So maybe I will leave the platform for others to share. Later on, I'll catch up.
Great. Maybe Jaya, if you can share your perspectives before I go to Dr. Vidya.
Sure, Banu, I will. Thank you for listening in. DI, in my view, it's actually DIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging. With pandemic start, that last letter got added. So in my view, it's about respecting each human being. In my view, DIB is about respecting each human being, valuing their competence, which is made of knowledge, skills, and attitude, and help the people develop and grow without making any assumptions that they may not be able to perform the expectations. Many times assumptions are made based on gender or background, region, religion, whatnot, right? So help them develop without assuming that they may not do well. Many times you'll be surprised that they outperform, exceeding your expectations. And the other one I would like to say is that it's very unfortunate that we need to have a policy for DEI, an initiative for DEI, to make people become more inclusive, where this can just be tackled with common sense and empathy from all of us. Thank you, Banu.
Thanks, Jaya. Dr. Vidya, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me here. It's always a pleasure to be with Maya Tar and your programs. So, for the last 24 years, I have been in the education sector, and I have been seeing the changing mindset and demographic of the students. And honestly, the whole concept of DEIB, which is how I would also like to address it, whole concept of DEIB, I learned because of the students with whom I'm interacting, especially in the last 5 to 6 years. Prior to that, we never had any conversations about the same. In the last 5 to 6 years, especially since the internet generation, as we can call Gen Z, internet generation has come into the higher education sector. They have been having a lot of conversations around this, and I think that's the first step to having a world where DEIB is respected, the first step is building awareness. And our students really have a lot of awareness with regard to this. When they have the awareness and we are learning from them, it's important that now we handhold them with our wisdom and help them ensure that we actually create a world where the DEIB does not require any policies, and it is inherent in every each one of us to respect other individuals in spite of whatever differences or whatever background they may be coming from. So that is something that I really want to share, because I have a strong positive view that the Gen Z has with respect to DIB.
Fair point. I think all of us will concur on that. Let me probably start with one of the research that was conducted by the IML students under the Atta's guidance. We saw in that research that the psychological safety emerged as the most significant and uniformly experienced dimension of inclusion for Gen Z. Now, this means the finding underscores the importance of creating environments where one feels free to express their thoughts, ideas, emotions without the fear of negative repercussions. And interestingly, this was followed by the pillar of fair treatment and integrating differences. So, from an educational institution perspective, I know all of us are connected one way or the other with Dr. Vidya and Dr. Sundari full time on it. How was this looked at? Can you throw some light on it? Maybe Dr. Vidya, with the mic with you, you can start off and I can go over to the others.
Oh, so if I can just um, re-understand your question, you mean to say how is the psychological safety seen in the classrooms, right?
Right.
Oh, I have a lot of examples to share. Just to give you one perspective, at Kechasima Institute of Management, we encourage that we have students from across the country, and we
Right.
really wish to have more students who come from tier two cities, because somewhere we feel they have that urge in them to do something for their families and for the country as a whole. But one more thing that we do notice is students who come from tier two cities, when they come to a place like Bombay, where we have a huge campus, they somehow start feeling a little unsure of themselves. And this is where I have seen their classmates, their hostel mates, giving them so much of confidence, hand holding them and encouraging them to take part in whatever is their area of expertise, in terms of whether it may be in cultural areas or it may be in a particular subject like statistics, or some other subject like marketing, etc. So the others who are coming from metro cities ensure that these students don't feel excluded, and also see to it that the entire class has more psychological safety for all of them to discuss whatever they feel like, which creates that community environment. And that is something which we are very proud about, and we foster that kind of a spirit. And this is all because of the students' initiatives only.
So it's more of students themselves connecting and then taking care, is what you mean?
Yes, yes. Though we do have discussions about the same in the classroom, quite a few
Mm-hmm.
discussions, but
Mm-hmm.
we leave it at the discussion stage. Further on, the students take it on and support each other because of the kind of environment we are able to provide to them. And I highly appreciate this tendency. And after 2 years, when the students go back, they are completely transformed, especially the ones who come with all self-doubt. They are completely transformed, very confident, and they feel good about what they have come here for, that having achieved that.
So anybody else
So,
want to add on it? Maybe Dr.
Yes,
Sundari or
yes,
Jay? Yeah.
yes.
Sure.
As the Dr. Vidya was pointing out rightly, we are
Mm-hmm.
educational institutions which is known for our diverse background, and people
Right.
representing different parts of the nation. It's more of a family that they are. It's a residential program. Any B schools, for that matter, is a residential program where they feel it's more of a home away from home. So once you inculcate that kind of an attitude in the students, there's a sense of belongingness which they have, and they don't require us to always come behind. No, it's the classes that we are with them. Apart from that, they have lot of activities going on inside the campus where they feel connected with their seniors, and they have lot of club and committees which encourages them to, be on their own. Even if they lack something, these seniors are there who will take up and encourage them in the respective field and give them some inputs where they feel again, as I told you, it's like a home away from home for them. So I don't think so there's a safety issue which has to be discussed here. Maybe there are, some ways odd things out, but it doesn't happen as in the case of real scenarios which we come across in day-to-day lives. So I think it's more of the attitude that a student has towards their fellow members, and how accommodative they are depends on the culture on which they have been brought up from the younger from the earlier days. So it's
Makes
all
a lot
about
of
how,
sense.
yeah, the value system that they have got actually, fosters them to maintain a good culture wherein it includes, they treat people with equal respect and so on. So that's my point to share here.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Jaya, you had something, right?
Sure, Banu. So, psychological safety, in my view, today the onus is on the corporates. The onus is on the reporting managers. The onus is on teachers. It's on organizations. It's on everybody except me. So when I talk to people, doesn't matter what generation they belong to, I say you take charge of your life. Don't assume somebody will create a psychologically safe platform for you. If it is created, you're lucky. If it is not created, you're luckier, because then you learn to live in this world through your, thriving and striving attitude, right? So, yeah, expecting others to give me a safe space is good, but me expecting it from my own self is the best, because that's something all the time reliable. Because tomorrow, if I'm so much used to others motivating me, others shadowing me, others holding me when I make mistakes, then I'll expect the same wherever I go. Only when I'm put on fire, where there is nobody to support, how the hell I come out of this? That's the resilience we should build in people, is my view, Banu.
Very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Vidya.
Yeah, so I agree, Jaya ma'am, that it is important that we take onus for our psychological safety. But a lot of people, the kind of background they come from, has never exposed them to be able to manage themselves well, especially students, especially since we are dealing with students who are 22, 23. They've hardly got any exposure at all. First time they're out of their homes, and suddenly when they are left all to themselves, and we tell them, you take care of your studies also, take care of your finances also, take care of your psychological safety too, it becomes too much for them. This is where when they are supported, they realize when they walk out of a college campus, they are ready to support another person who is probably in their team. They can reflect that I was like this, somebody supported me, and so I need to support somebody else. So I think creating that sense of community, of support, is very, very important. Though I do agree that each one should take responsibility for how they will lead their lives, but creating that circle of community which is going to support each other is also equally important. And it starts from the family if possible. If not, colleges are the best place where we can foster this kind of a sense of community.
Very true. And also the education system. Today,
Yes,
Very true.
employability skill sets. There is a huge gap between campus and corporates, right?
right.
Why? Because academic proficiency is brought in, but emotional proficiency, emotional intelligence is probably not prevalent everywhere. So if education system can bring in some refinements where people, doesn't matter what my background, whether I belong to this community, that community, well off, my parents are graduates, or I'm the first generation student, doesn't matter. If I'm able to learn the required skills to be able to face the world from any dimension, with the support that you're talking about, Vidya, that would be a great combination to have.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
while we are on the
totally
topic
agree.
on the education, maybe I'll ask another question. Typically, your experience educating, or I would probably call it conversing with these Gen Zs in the institutions, like how do you think their lived experiences shape their understanding of DA? Because I know we kind of touched upon it when we talked about the psychological safety, but I thought we will probably go a little bit drill down to see how education institutions can actually leverage this perspective to drive a positive change. What's your opinion?
Yeah, see, when we talk about education system right now, it's not just the conceptual sharing that we do. It's more
Absolutely.
of an experiential based learning that we provide inside the campus. Now, when I say this, though we give the, a knowledge sharing which happens within the four walls, students are now exposed to plenty of live projects which are
Very
taken up
true.
during the curriculum, both online and offline, which has got its own challenges, whether be it is offline where they have to move out from the campus to the company to learn new things, or being in an online platform, posing themselves, disclosing all their identity, and getting things learned. Both process pose some threat, but how are they learning? And we are there as a backbone supporting them. And of course, as I told, the senior students are also there, who is acting as a mentor in inculcating or teaching them how it can be done. This actually provides them a platform where they understand how they can tackle these issues. So it is not just the classroom teaching which happens right now with Gen Zs, it is more of an experiential learning which happens.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
I
Dr. Vijay.
agree. I totally agree. Along with this, something that we consciously practice, which most P schools and I wish all higher education institutes could also begin to practice, is whatever we are discussing in the class, instead of probably giving them just an Indian perspective, which is very important, we should give them a global perspective, right from the names that we are using to the country. Not, and if when I say global perspective, it's not just US and UK. It is, there are so many other countries in the world whose references we should take for them to appreciate diversity in its true sense. With regard to this, something that we do, we invite students from other countries on campus, and our students and their students interact for a week or a 10-day period. They do some projects together. So this way, the students are so much richer in their understanding of what DEIB means to them and what it means from the perspective of students from other countries, and together they are able to understand and interact and grow as individuals. So not just in the curriculum that we should bring in the DEIB, it should not be as a subject per se, it should be as a part and parcel of every subject. And there are various other initiatives also in the sense of cross-cultural communication, understanding, projects undertaking, and not only with reference to the high-income countries, also the countries which are backward, countries which are low income, which are high income but backward. All of these we should take perspectives from them. So that is how education could actually foster that spirit in the right way.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Jaya.
Yeah. Banu, I'm a strong advocate for competence and character. So my conversations with Gen Z was never around DIB in particular. I have been having conversations with them very often, but never on this topic. It's always around building strong character, constantly building competence, which is knowledge, skills, and resilience, attitude, having a clear goal and chase them forever. Have a goal which is bigger than your life, and then have right values. Because if you look at the discrimination, bullying, not giving the deserving people their opportunities, it's all because somebody did not know how to look at somebody in the right lens, right? So having the right human values and respecting each other, irrespective of the person's gender, showing empathy appropriately, emphasizing on rights over privileges without, working adequately hard. People talk about rights all the time. Very few people talk about responsibilities. So, and then when things don't happen the way they expect, they get disappointed, leading to mental health and depression, whatnot, right? So,
Right.
in my view, I try to address the whole thing from these two C point of view, which is competence and character. So whoever builds it will be able to support each other and help people come up, irrespective of their backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, and help them get wherever they need to be. So that's how my conversations have been scoped till date, Banu.
Interesting. Quite few perspectives. In fact, we are having a Diversathon, which is actually a paper presentation dedicated event for the educational institutions, where these students can actually present. This is happening. The finals is on 19th. So we'll have to see how much of what we are discussing here perspectives. I think it's an interesting thing that we'll have to probably look at. By the way, we did talk about back here on the panel, we did talk about the Gen Zs being the people in the internet era and all that. So let me probably go on to that point. So we know Gen born with social media in their lives. So Gen Zs are born with the social media in their lives. So what do you think is the role of social media in digitizing or in digitization? With that digitization happening in terms of amplifying the DA voices and bringing in that social change. How do you think the institutions can support and guide this Gen Z's digital activity, being active in digital phase, era best per se? Because there is a lot of good and the bad that's running around. So how do you think education institutions can play a big role here?
I think if I can go first, Banu.
Sure, sure.
When it comes to bringing in bigger changes, people prefer role modeling than gyans, right? So if I find somebody doing and showing the result, I'm good to follow. So whoever it is, education institutions, if they have success stories of they themselves having demonstrated DEI, in which way? If they're able to demonstrate that, not just look at corporate stories and organization stories and political stories, but also as an institution, in which all cases have they demonstrated DI, and talk about them loud and clear in various places through forums, posters, social media presence. That's a very strong signaling the students get. So I would say it starts from there. And then they also realize, man, I better demonstrate these qualities myself. Then wherever they go demonstrate, they talk about it. That's how we can create a multiplier effect, Banu. Role model, then talk about it.
Got it. Yeah, Dr.
So
Vidya.
here, if I can, I have a slightly different take on this aspect. Generally, my opinion about Gen Z and DIB and everything is very positive. But on this take, I have slightly different view. Gen Z does a great job of creating awareness on social media platform,
Very true.
act as activists on social media platform with
Absolutely.
regard to DEIB, sustainability, climate change, everything. But where I see a lacking is in the sense of accountability. For example, they will actually create wonderful posts on sustainability, like every possible climate change post. Say Greta Thunberg is my idol. I appreciate the work she's doing and everything. But they will go and grab that packet of Lays, which is adding on to the lower sustainable quotient of the country. And when we try to speak to them about the same, they have their own views on the same. So I think accountability from their end has to be inculcated in them, maybe because of their lack of maturity on this space. They are not taking that accountability, and that is where our role as teachers, facilitators, parents comes in, where we tell them that along with the activism, also be accountable. Then we are sorted for the future. If that doesn't come, then it's only going to be on the digital space, and nothing action happening in reality may not happen. So that is my take on this aspect of social media and the Gen Z in this topic.
Makes sense.
In fact, before this session, I was trying to do some homework on DEIB. I mean, do I know it all? Could I have some gaps? Any recent regulations, updates? I want to be thorough before I speak in any forum. So I tried to look for the definition of Gen Z one more time, a couple of days
Right.
back. While I may have looked at it some time back, what if the definition evolved, right? I don't want to draw a blank. Consistently across pages, the definition for Gen Z was it's the population that chooses happiness over productivity. And that definition disheartened me. Trust me, that definition disheartened me. Unanimously, all the definitions say this for Gen Z. I'm like, where are we? Where are our children? Right? No, there could be exceptions in Gen Z too, right? There could be exceptions in Gen Z too, where they choose responsibilities over rights. They choose, as you said, accountability over advertisements, right? There could be exceptions in Gen Z too, but exceptions exist everywhere. In
Correct.
millennial also, you have
Correct.
people who will choose happiness over productivity. In Gen Z also, I'm sorry, Gen X also, you will see people choosing this. So this one line definition, which is coming as a common trend across platforms, kind of disheartened me, and I thought it's high time. We all talk about hardworking and accountability and those
Yes.
aspects also to Gen Z, and not really label them as, oh, you're good in social media platform, you're tech
Correct.
savvy. I think those definitions exist automatically. These manual definitions, I think we people need to add, so the definition kind of gets its balance,
Balances
in
out.
my view.
True. Agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Makes
My
sense.
say on this would be like, as I pointed out earlier, these people are socially conscious. They know what is right and wrong, and they take up what is resonating well with them. So, in that note, no, it is the facilitator job or a teacher's job or somebody who cares for them, tell them one more time, insist on what is required, then their thinking changes. Their at present motive is to ensure that they have to have a digital presence and they have to call out for whatever reasons that's been put out, and they had to stay live. They had to be popular. Popular for what? That is a bigger question. Okay, are they sounding sensible? Are they taking up or calling out things which is the need of the hour? If that is being portrayed by them, it would be a bigger success. So we have to channelize them in proper way or guide them in such a way that they, be a little more sensible on and sensitize certain issues rather than just being social or popular. So that's
Agree.
my says on this.
Totally agree.
Interestingly, this was the topic today in the FM radio discussion also.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Yeah, somebody had cut his tongue to two, had an operation somewhere in Mumbai only to change his eyes color to green. People were trying to call him alien and he became famous and all that. And he tried to operate somebody else. So, yes, you are right. Kind of, they are looking at a lot of these quick wins kind of a thing. So that puts us to the next part of it. So, how do you think we can foster a meaningful dialogue and collaboration between the Gen Z and the older generation? Because not all of us are from the same generation, though we interact. So, how do you think this can be addressed? What do you think could be the challenge or the opportunity for us?
I think the first and most important thing that we all need to do is we need to we need to act as role models for them. We need to lead the way. When we are going to be more inclusive, when we have more sustainable practices, when we are going to look at a human being as a human being and not belonging to a particular caste, religion, community, etc., they will automatically model us and they will practice this. So first and most important is our we having a much broader mindset, and it's often more difficult for the Gen X to inculcate this because we have grown in a world where we have not given too much of we have not thought
Absolutely.
too much on these lines. We have grown up in a world where having a career, earning money was all that was important to us. We never thought on all these aspects. So we
Right.
first have to change our mindset, develop a mindset where we are going to be conscious when we are going to speak to everybody. If in a crowd we are sitting and one person, we feel we should be able to sense if a person is feeling excluded, and we should see how we are going to make them feel included. And all these cues the Gen Z picks up and then they will model the way. I think that is one of the best things that we can do.
So, to add to what Vidya said, let's just look at the foundation of Gen Z, right? Who are they? They are the children of parents who are running like horses to earn their living. If you look at our generation, I can assume that we all belong to same generation, or probably I'm elder to you guys by some years, but our related generation or millennial or Gen X, right? We had parents at home. We had grandmoms at home, grandpas at home, atta, mama, party, whoever it is, our relatives, right? Joint families. The values were imbibed to children easily, and that is why we are today and talking about it, and that is why we are invited to talk about it, right? So we have learned hardships, we have learned values, we try to demonstrate values as much as possible. Yeah, we fail, we flop, we make mistakes. I'm not saying we're all Buddhas and Buddhis, but we realize quickly and then, correct them. So those values are what are missing in this generation mostly because everybody is running and the only thing they have in their hand is this phone.
Absolutely.
So that doesn't have any interaction except what they want to have. So the value piece is missing. So yes, we have to tell about the stories where we have been inclusive, etc., etc. But I would say let's get back to the basics, alphabets of character, principles, value-driven life, ethics, professionalism, how to speak, how not to speak, what to say, what not to say. Because today people have falsified and glorified views, but which are wrong.
Correct.
If
Agree.
somebody calls me fat, I'll go kill myself. No, I can also go to gym and get better, right? So the vulnerability of this Gen Z is misused so much that people become weaker and weaker. So in my view, yeah, get the basics straight and right by imbibing these values. If it requires, all the schools and colleges redo their curriculum, let's do that because that is going to fix the root cause of the issue. Otherwise, we're just going to be talking about the symptoms and not really yield the fruit in the long run.
Right.
True.
Agree.
So while we are discussing, just a reminder to the audience, if they have questions, they can start posting in the Q&A box or on the chat box. So continuing on the same thing, I think, yes, meaningful dialogue, collaboration, a lot of things need to be worked on. But at the same time, we also talk about skills and qualities of a DA leader in a lot of places and quite a lot of things around that. So how do you think typical higher education institutions can equip these Gen Z students with these skills?
I
Because
would
a lot of it they come with their own things, a lot of it they see, and we just talked about where they are looking at it, where they are not accountable and all that. So a leader has to be accountable. So how do you think this can come up from a higher education institution perspective?
say the
After
first.
you, Sundari, after you.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Actually, what I feel is lagging. No, when we talk about skill set, I should be talking about what is there. But why I'm saying this is people generally don't listen. Now, one of the important skill I feel the present Gen Z lacks is the listening skills. The more they are into, an perspective of listening and understanding what others say, would be, an eye opener for them too, where they can really understand what the other one is actually wanting to. We talk about leadership skills, technical skills, human skills, all that is there. Fine. Communication skill is there, but
Very
all
true.
these things comes when you just shut your mouth for some time and listen to what's being told. I am sounding rude because I happen to many times, feel the same in the class. They are so prone and they want to react very fast. This is a generation which, gives a likes, hatred, gives a smiley, which gives me a heart and all that. They want to react fast. But what will the reaction have an impact on the others? That they don't know. They have to first think from the other point. We are talking about emotional, understanding. We are talking about, you know how far they can sound, being really sensible to others thoughts and feelings. These are first basic. I would agree with Jaya ma'am. No, she was talking about, the value system that we have been brought up. Are these children really understanding that? Okay, so that again, no, a little bit of reminders can be done so that no, they don't forget the basics which they have come across. And then in addition to that, if this one skill can be equipped, I think definitely they are going to be there on the limelight. So
Very
that's
interesting.
my,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Jaya, you had something before I go to Dr. Vidya.
Sure. So, DI leaders' qualities. Giving equal opportunities based on talent in an unbiased way is a responsibility of every leader, irrespective of domain, sector, right? Whether
Absolutely.
the leader is from IT, infrastructure, insurance, banking, media, hospitality, agriculture, education, whatnot. An ideal leader will look at everybody with the same lens and recognize talent and help them develop and grow. Now, they need to have their own stories talking about how they help people through some hand holding. So, with the little help they received, they were able to shine better, right? So, it's like this. I would categorize the world population into three in terms of talent, right? People who are talented by birth, and people whose talent got discovered eventually, and they acquired the required skills eventually, right? And third category, talent was never discovered, and they die without even knowing what their talent was, right? Talent by birth is one category. Talent eventually acquired is second category. Talent was never known even after death was third category. We need to help the last two categories as real leaders. Getting the work done through talented people is even a manager can do. But if you want to call yourself a leader, you need to be able to know how to get the last two categories convert,
Absolutely.
into a better performing team. So for the second one, which is, talent discovered late and acquired over a time, they know it, but without proper support and hand holding, their success will be slow. I'm sure like that, there are many people in our own teams who are just going with the flow without knowing what they're doing. But somebody could say, hey, you are probably good at this. This is your strength and not that. Oh, is it? Then I strive and try to make that even a stronger strength. Third category, I mean, people who never learn what their talent, uh, more help needed there. Of course, the person has to take the responsibility of discovering potential talent, but in this case, leadership role is huge. So, in summary, helping people discover their potential, irrespective of their gender, other diverse backgrounds, is a leader's first and foremost skill or quality, whatever you want to call, and that is possible only if the leader is highly emotionally intelligent. Because motivation and empathy are two traits of a highly emotionally intelligent leader. Then comes cultural competency, where the leader understands diverse cultures, identities and perspectives, developing an appreciation for intersectionality, developing an appreciation for different generations, and not calling older generations as boomer generations and younger generations as good for nothing generations. No, there are good and bad and everywhere. So understand these sectionalities better, understand the nature of their race, gender, sexuality, ability, other factors. Last but not the least, proactively seek knowledge about systemic barriers that these people could face anywhere. So have some ready-made solutions also. Then comes critical thinking ability, where they're able to look at the status quo and question. They're able to look at the inequalities and biases and change the policies, processes without worrying about the entire world is changing. Only then I should change. No, you make the first move. And then develop solutions to dismantle barriers to inclusion. And also have, to some extent, data driven approaches, because sometimes data is louder, right? And last but not the least, as Sundari said, communication skills, 50% about speaking, remaining 50% is about active listening. I think these are what a leader should actually have to be able to support diverse culture based on talent.
Yeah. Dr. Vidya, you
Right.
had something, right?
So I would probably answer the question that came up in the chat box as
Yeah, I
I
was waiting.
share.
Yeah,
Yeah, as I
go
was
ahead.
sharing my thoughts on what are the skills that the Gen Z needs to develop in order to remain relevant and also foster a world which is more DIB oriented. I think one necessary skill that Gen Z needs to have is give up their sense of entitlement. So the question that came up is hiring managers are scared to hire Gen Z
Right.
because they don't have a sense of accountability. The sense of accountability does not come because we, the parents of Gen Z, mostly all of us are Gen X people, we have given the Gen Z a sense of entitlement. We do not scold them when they do wrong. We give them whatever they are asking, and that is one of the biggest causes why they are not taking responsibility nor accountability for anything. And we see this, students get jobs in good organizations, they are there for 6 months, and then they say that we are not going to continue. Why? I want to find my purpose, I want to find my kind of organization. At 24 you can't get your kind of organization, you fit yourself into the organization first. So that sense of entitlement needs to be instilled in them, and that can come only when we are going to give up our fear of once in a while pulling them up and not always aligning ourselves to them. I think that is a mistake that we are doing, constantly aligning ourselves to them and giving in to whatever they are saying, which is not making them accountable. So, we as a generation need to change how we are orienting ourselves to them. And rightly said that intergenerational discussion and communication should be such we appreciate the Gen Z for what they are, the knowledge that they have, the awareness that they have, the skills that they have, but we integrate our values and wisdom into that and ensure that together we are able to make a much better world. So, all hiring managers scared of Gen Z, I think you should hire them and put them in place. Instead of feeling scared of hiring them, then they will create more social trouble.
In fact,
So,
Vidya, just to share some stats around what you said, 1 out of 6 companies are hesitant to hire Gen Z. It's a
yes,
fact.
correct.
In
Yes,
fact,
Yes,
I saw it
that's
in
true.
Vantage News, and the reasons are this. They think current Gen Z lack interpersonal relationship skills, problem solving skills, communication skills. They could be social media savvy, tech savvy, but put together speak a line in a convincing way, they struggle, right? So now, unfortunately, can the organizations leave them from hiring? No, because by 2050, 60% of our workforce worldwide will be Gen Z. So we can't
right.
just leave them also, but as you said, put them in place through proper grooming, coaching, rewrite their assumptions about world, rewrite the
Correct.
assumptions about values and principles, philosophies, get them on board with additional complementary skills, definitely, which only the Gen Z possesses and not us.
Yeah, I think that's where Sridevi's question was also. When we are trying to rewrite, they don't stick along. Some of them fall out of the bucket and all that. I think that's where it is. But yes, all of us will have to work towards that. I don't think there is any other option. We'll have to work on that.
Persuasion plays a great role, Banu.
Exactly. Absolutely. No,
Persuasion,
I'm with you on that.
inspiration.
You're
Yeah,
100% correct there.
yeah.
I think Sridevi, that would have given you enough and more insight there. So another interesting question from Janani. We talk a lot about reverse mentoring in the workplace. How does this pan out? Can you share some outcomes, especially with respect to with Gen Z mentoring the previous generations?
No, I can
New
speak for my
anything?
own son. He's
Okay.
done with his college. He's 2003 born. He's also working. I'm not exaggerating even a bit. I'm not making up a story. Many a times I go to him for counseling. I'm
Mm-hmm.
openly declaring he's BBA done, he's working because his perspective is very different. I mean, I don't know if he was supposed to be Gen boomer, baby boomer, which is before 1965, but by mistake he was born in 2003. I don't know. But his perspective is amazing, and I'm learning from him. So I don't have an experience of reverse mentoring at workplace, but yes, I've always had the opportunity to work with different generations and pick the best. I don't have a specific role model in life. Even if a 2-year-old demonstrates a better quality than me, I learn and thank you and say thank you, right? So there are cases where their perspectives are very, very broad and polite and civilized and things like that, which we can take away. And one more thing, our generation work like donkeys. We must admit that. While we
Absolutely.
complain, this generation saying they can be more accountable, they can prioritize productivity over happiness, but they also know where to draw the line. That's something I like in them. They don't really allow any incidents of work or something affect their mental health much. So those are great takeaways I think we can have. And then they also say if you're stuck somewhere, get out of it. Don't stay frozen. Do your best. If it's constant proving of yourself, do. But then at the end, if you think it is not the right place, get out. Those perspectives I don't think we were able to have in our generation. So it's a mix of everything, but values are common. Hardworking doesn't change by generations. Accountability should not change by generations. Ethics should not change. So with those imbibed values, additional things can be a complementary thing, is my view.
I would
Makes
just
sense.
describe them in a single word. They are more proactive. Whereas I would call
Wow.
the millennials and Gen X to be more of a reactive pattern. And this being proactiveness is a blessing in disguise. One way or the other, if it clicks, they keep following the same strategy. If it doesn't work out, they blame the strategy. So it goes that way around.
Yeah, you are
The,
right.
the
Some
fear
of these
factor
on.
is probably the fear factor is much lesser because they have the support system stronger. uh, and in our generation, the fear was much higher. We couldn't take risks as much as the current generation, Gen Z, is able to take, which is why we see the startup culture. They
Exactly.
are willing to take that risk, and they are very high on their creativity quotient. Undoubtedly, they are very open, very, very open. It's just that we need to, both of us together should be able to uh, work out what works best for the future, so that the future generation, alpha, beta, etc., are in a much better space.
Also,
In fact,
also one thing I would like to add, DIB is not a corporate issue, it's a community issue.
Yes,
absolutely.
100%.
A boy or a girl who was not brought up the right way with the education of, hey, you should value everybody the same way, irrespective of what they do, what they are, then that child, when it grows up and comes to an organization, will learn how to respect women, will learn how to respect somebody with physical disabilities, right? But a child which is not taught to treat everybody the same way will also not be at good behavior in organization. So I
Correct.
know all of us are putting best efforts to see how we can be more inclusive, etc., etc., how we can ensure that the minority groups are represented well, etc., etc. I think it's a takeaway for all the parents, including us, that
Absolutely.
constantly check if we are observing the children behavior. I mean, not just men not liking women, some women don't like men also. Some
Yeah, yeah.
men don't like to work with women.
100%.
I mean, they say I'm fine with a male subordinate than a female subordinate, and there are some women who say I'm fine with women subordinate, I don't want male subordinate. Why? Because of their childhood trauma or misguided life, and they have these values and views of people which, if not changed in the childhood days, will grow to be a monster
Absolutely.
where double the dose of DI effects we have to take to be able to cure those diseases.
True.
In fact, to add to what Dr. Vidya was saying, that fail fast concept in the entrepreneurship is something I would entirely give it to the Gen Z. I think gone are the days when we said we'll have to look at it long term, we'll have to be doing this for at least 10 number of years and all that. Gone are those days. We talk about fail fast. Take the risk, do it, move on. I think that's a perfect example of a fail fast. This thing which is coming up from a reverse mentoring kind of a thing, I guess. I know in
Right.
the interest of time, one last check with the audience if there is any questions, because any anything will have to come out with a closure. It's inevitable, and it's a lovely discussion, and I think all of us are so passionate that the four of us will continue to talk for a couple of more hours. I'm pretty sure about it, but that's not what at least the events team and the rest of the audience would love to. So I think somewhere we will have to bring this lovely discussion to a closure. So while it's coming to a closure, I think it is very clear that Gen Z is not just a generation of the future, but they are the ones who are shaping the future. That's how I try to put it. Classic example was a fail fast. So we should empower them with the right tools, platforms, and understanding, as we discussed in a couple of minutes back. And we can truly create a world where it's just not DA that we are talking about as an ideal, but it is a reality. And we'll probably inspire them to get into that using this. I think I would probably say that as a closing note. A quick check. Any of you want to share any closing note before I hand over to Raghav, the MC?
Yeah, Banu, thank you for the opportunity. And DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging. While DEI can be given by the corporate schools, colleges, I think including myself, getting myself the feeling of belonging is also the self-responsibility.
Exactly.
For example, you can invite me to your party, Banu. And if I'm a non-vegetarian, you can keep an array of non-veg food. And you can tell Jaya, there is dance floor, there is singing floor. Can you join? You can do all that. But then me dancing or not dancing today is put as a blame on the organization. No, you didn't make the person
Absolutely.
volunteer to dance. No, that's okay. I mean, enough, right? Yeah, 50% I can say, or 25% I can say, yeah, they can make the environment so soothing that I feel like jumping the gun or jumping the floor. But then I also have to understand that not all the times I'll get hand holding, not all the times I'll get support. In those cases, how do I burst out like a volcano is what should be taught today. And that is why I say EQ is very, very important, because a person with high level of EQ will respect each other irrespective of what they bring, will treat each other with better respect and imbibe the values forever and pass it on to all generations. Is the last note I wanted to add, Banu.
With so much of discussion, I think I'm now curious to see how the Diversithon transpires, because that's one place where we are going to see it's exclusively for the education institutions, and we are going to see the student community come back with their points. I think I'm really curious to see how it's coming up, because it's the same topic that they are going to present on, and I think it's really interesting to see how much of all of what we discuss is what they are saying, because it always helps to see whether it is common across. It's a lot easier and makes our job easier also in a lot of cases. So I think with that note, I will hand it back to Raghav or MC. Raghav, over to you.
It was a beautiful session, and as Mahotsav, you told, like, we don't want the session to end. We can keep on hearing to the conversations which is going on. So I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to each of you for your engaging and thought-provoking contributions during the discussion on this. Your insights were not only informative but also incredibly relevant, shedding light on the unique perspectives, challenges, and opportunities this generation faces in each today's rapidly evolving. The depth of knowledge and the diversity of experiences you shared made for an enriching discussion. It was evident that each of you brought a unique angle to the table, from social media's impact to Gen Z's values and aspirations in the workplace and beyond. Your collective expertise helped create a truly enlightening experience for the audience, sparkling valuable conversations and inspiring new ideas. Thank you, Jaya Babu, Dr. R. Sundari, and Vidya Thakur, for sharing your thoughts and ideas with us today, for taking the time to share your expertise, and for your thoughtful reflections that will undoubtedly shape our understanding of Gen Z for years to come. I look forward to seeing how your insights continue to influence future discussion and initiatives. And thank you, Banu sir, for moderating the session so expertly and asking the right questions to make the discussion more interactive. We learned so much from you and everyone involved. Thank you all for joining. So, dear audience, we are designed to dynamic lineup for the rest of the week. We have 3 more days to go for Diversity Mahotsav, and we have packed all the 3 days with the exciting and engaging content. For lightning talks to Diversithon and a surprise session on the closing day of the 4th edition of Diversity Mahotsav 2024. So stay tuned. Thanks for much wonderful participation. You have been a wonderful audience. With this, we have completed day 12 of our Diversity Mahotsav December 1 celebration. Tomorrow, we have a lightning talks with Raki Chauhan, Director, Human Resources, Via Plus by WITS Highways on accelerating change, how diversity fuels innovation in the mobility sector, moderated by Tanuja Prasad, Divisional Manager, Training and Operations Hub. Watch this session here tomorrow at 4 p.m. to 5. Our social media hashtags are hashtag diversity Mahotsav, hashtag celebrating diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your social media handles with the hashtags. On behalf of Team Avatar, I thank each one of you and welcome you to the coming days of Diversity Mahotsav. Please remember, Diversity Mahotsav is between December 2nd to 20th only on weekdays between 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Please visit www.myavatar.com to explore various opportunities and activities that celebrate diversity. If you have not registered at myavatar.com yet, do log on to myavatar.com and register. Browse through to find jobs that might suit your skill sets, read articles of interest, upskill yourself through various webinars conducted exclusively for you. Once again, thanking our partners, Innovation Catalyst, EPAM Systems, supporting partners, Bristle, Genesis, Via Plus by Vinci Highways, and Juchi Systems. As we draw close to the day, I'm going to request you to take a couple of minutes and provide your feedback on today's session. Team, please bring up the board. Once again, thank you all for joining. This is Raghavendra Srinivasan signing off today. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.